Hello, I'm Dr. David Haglund, Superintendent of Schools for the Pleasanton Unified School District. Thank you for tuning in to our 2022 State of the District address. We have so much to celebrate that gives me a great deal of hope in our collective work moving forward. Each of the accomplishments we'll preview are shared and in large part made possible through our community's ongoing support. I have the privilege of working with the very talented group of people who make up our district governance team. The Board of Trustees is led by President Steve Maher, who serves alongside Vice President Mary Jo Carrion and Trustees Kelly McCaughey, Justin Brown, and Lori Walker. Our executive cabinet is composed of Deputy Superintendent Ed Dialazzo, Assistant Superintendent of Business Services Ahmad Sheikh Oslami, Assistant Superintendent of Teaching and Learning Dr. Will Nelson, and Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources Mr. Julio Hernandez. It's our privilege to serve this incredible community together, along with our teachers and our support staff. I would also like to thank two board trustees who we have said goodbye to this year, Mark Miller and Joan Larson. Their leadership and vision over the course of their tenure led to dramatic changes and positive outcomes for the community of Pleasanton. Much of the important work that we have going on today is tied to the visions of Mark and Joan. I'm grateful to have had the opportunity to serve with them and the rest of our district leaders in the district for the past 6 years. As we saw two trustees exit the dais, we saw two trustees step up to take their place. Justin Brown was elected to serve Trustee Area 5, and Lori Walker was elected by Trustee Area 2. They have joined an incredible team of school leaders who I appreciate very much. I look forward to working with them to fulfill our shared vision for moving Pleasanton schools into the future. 2022 has been a year of opportunities and challenges, and through it all, we as a system continue to learn and to grow. While the pandemic is largely behind us, the effects of remote learning and social isolation are ongoing. These impacts are felt in classrooms and on playfields as teachers manage discipline issues and behavioral challenges. I also know from talking to many of you that these behavior challenges also extend into our homes and throughout the community. Through another year of recovery, our efforts have been guided by 5 organizational goals, which renewed focus on student mental health, wellness, and promoting equity and inclusion. We are also working diligently to diversify our workforce. These goals drive the work outlined in our organizational work plan, which you can access on the district's website. The impact of the pandemic is just now being studied by researchers across the globe. We know that students didn't just lose academic learning during the shutdown. Some lost family members lost jobs, and families lost income and stability. And most experienced long periods of social isolation. Emerging data notes an increase in anxiety and depression, concerns about mental health, and links between wellness and acting out behaviors. Many students miss social and academic milestones and development of the foundational skills that are necessary for ongoing learning outcomes. As an example, second grade teachers welcome students back into their classrooms who hadn't quite learned yet how to hold a pencil correctly, or how to share, or how to interact with a group. These are social skills which we might call the hidden curriculum of a school. They're the things taught in kinder and first grade. When those students were learning remotely, not all of those skills were achieved. The same thing is true, though, with middle school students who struggled learning critical math or applied science skills that will be needed in higher grades. In high school, we watched 9th and 10th graders come back on campus who hadn't yet learned the social norms of acting together in a school community. Since their return, our teams have been working very hard to help them recover those lost skills, while at the same time doing the work we've been known to do well prior to COVID. This was a huge lift, of work for our teachers, who often felt like they were doing two jobs: the job that you know how to do for the grade level or subject area you teach, as well as identifying and addressing academic, behavior, or developmental gaps for the students who were in remote learning. This was a significant challenge, a huge lift made by our staff, and I have a huge amount of respect for teachers who are doing that work, bringing our kids to the place where they need to be so that they can go out and make the world a better place. This is life-changing work that we're engaged in, and the amount of stress and anxiety, both on the student side and on the adult side coming out of the pandemic, has seemed at times almost insurmountable. As we rebuild, we need to consider if the pre-pandemic structures and programs are sufficient to do the work that we need to do. We may need to look at making different investments in schools and within the broader community to provide a more comprehensive set of supports for our students. As a means to address those issues, our management team began the year with a shared focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion. This work has deep roots here in PUSD, and it's now being guided by a new equity policy that the board adopted last year. Pictured here is our management team at the conclusion of our leadership symposium just prior to the start of the school year. I continue to be amazed at the work of these incredible people because I know them. I know that our kids are in good hands when they come to school every day. We are actively engaging students, educators, staff, families, and the community leaders in this important work. The Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Task Force, some of whom are represented in this picture, are helping to guide and inform that work. This picture was taken during our leadership symposium in August, where a few members shared personal stories. Some of these stories were incredibly difficult to listen to because they weren't positive. They were sharing their personal experiences relating to what it was like to enter a Pleasanton school or the Pleasanton community as a whole. These are things we don't like to hear, things we wish we wouldn't hear, but they're important to listen to if we're going to do this work together. When we reopened schools after the pandemic, our organizational focus was on reconnecting with kids, restoring relationships with them, and reimagining the way we offer learning opportunities to students. This meant for us to show up in different ways than we had in the past, and meeting students where they are as opposed to where they should be. This photo features our Boost program, which serves middle school students who need academic or social emotional support. It was funded through the Extended Learning Opportunities Grant, which are state funds that were provided to help districts address the pandemic-related learning challenges. This is only one example of the ways that our team is working to ensure student needs are met, be they academic, behavioral, or developmental. The Power of Us continues to play a vital role in how we move forward, ensuring that we are engaging every student effectively to drive their individual academic success. We continue to celebrate the diversity of our community. This picture captures a moment during a Chinese New Year demonstration at Walnut Grove Elementary School. These events are learning opportunities that help ensure each student feels connected, respected, and valued as a part of their school community. This picture was captured during the Tamil Language Academy, where students were sharing about their learning, relating to the language and cultures of their families. A step dance program, which is a part of our African American Family Network, meets on Thursdays at Pleasanton Middle School. It's part of our extended learning program and supported by our educational options leaders. I'm excited about the Get on the Bus program at Valley View Elementary School, which provides opportunities for students to participate in community-based soccer programs with Rage and Ballistic United. We're grateful for our community partners who provide opportunities for students who may not have been able to participate without this outreach. Captured here is Fairlands Elementary School Principal Heidi Deeringhoff during a school Diwali celebration. I'm grateful for our parent community who consistently steps up to ensure our students stay connected to their heritage and that others, like myself, have an opportunity to learn. All of our staff members are engaged in the work of diversity, equity, inclusion every single day. It's carried by every member of the team who touches the lives of students around them, and I'm proud to count myself among those dedicated public servants who have a passion about inclusion. Pictured here is PUSD and Alameda County Classified Employee of the Year, Fernando Buongiorno, who serves the Leidixon Elementary School community. This was taken the day he was recognized as the Employee of the Year, but I'll tell you, having walked the campus, this is his experience during any break or lunchtime. We continue to provide learning opportunities that support inclusion of students who learn in different environments or in different ways and require flexibility that is difficult sometimes to achieve in a traditional school setting. Our Educational Options Department and the Pleasanton Virtual Academy play an important role in these efforts, and we're fortunate to have some world-class educators, including PUSD Teacher of the Year, Eric Little, who serves students at Pleasanton Virtual Academy. Our teaching and learning team is diving deep into and expanding our understanding of the science of reading. The related professional development sessions have been well attended, and the feedback has been very positive. As I walk through classrooms, I see incredible work being done by our teachers, including high levels of engagement from students during the lessons. Effective instruction and high levels of engagement always lead to positive learning outcomes. So our kudos to the teachers for doing great work every day. We're proud to partner with the University of California in San Francisco as one of 30 California school districts to pilot a universal screening tool to assist efforts to support our developing readers. Across the United States, teachers and school leaders are increasingly focused on modernizing grading practices so they're more reflective of student growth and mastery of content and grade level standards. While mastery-based grading, or you may have heard it called grading for equity, is a key component for our equity work, the rationale extends far beyond that singular purpose. All students benefit from ongoing, timely, and specific feedback on their learning pathway. Opportunities to fine-tune our performance over time is a critical part of developing a growth mindset and establishing future success. Our CTE teams at the site and district levels are fully engaged in the development of new and exciting pathways for students. Conversations with our workforce development partners and Las Positas College show promise for developing new pathways that result in advanced certifications and apprenticeships opportunities for students. These apprenticeships will lead directly from high school to career in the trades. And when we talk about a career, I'm not talking just about a job somewhere. These are very well-paid fields of work. I'm excited to see these opportunities begin to come to fruition. Our friends at Hart Middle School have had a good year. First, they were recognized as a national Blue Ribbon school by the U.S. Department of Education, and then more recently, they were recognized as a 2023 School to Watch by the California League of Educators. Well done, Huskies. PUSD continues to pursue a mission that states our students will make a better world, a mission that comes to life through the success of students during their time in the district and long after they have left to pursue their college and career goals. The Foothill High School competitive civics team is a great example. Pictured here right after winning their first California We the People Championship. Their peers at Amador Valley High School will be joining them at the Nationals due to winning the wild card berth at the California Championships. Our future is bright because of these young leaders and because of the adults who teach, coach, and mentor them along the way. And that mentoring and teaching doesn't start in the competitive civics program at the high school. It begins in our kinder classrooms and is nurtured by amazing teachers along the way. These ideals also permeate how we lead within the broader Pleasanton community. Dr. Nelson presented strong support for our equity and inclusion work during his keynote address at this year's Martin Luther King Fellowship Breakfast. Will made us all proud and helped draw the community leaders into the work. Diversity, equity, and inclusion permeate throughout all we do as an organization. Our Human Resources Division is leading inclusion efforts by recruiting to expand the diversity of our PUSD workforce. They created a substitute training program to supplement robust recruitment efforts and help inspire new educators, including parents and community members from Pleasanton. This is taking a parent who has a BA, guiding them to their substitute certification, and then helping them into a teacher credentialing program if that's their interest. This is another way to make sure our teachers are truly members of our community. The quality of our school campuses continue to play an important role in how we serve students. Thanks to our facilities and construction team and the generosity of the Pleasanton community, Measure I-1 is having a significant impact on our schools and on our students. The team has made significant gains towards completing this work, creating safe and inclusive learning environments for our kids, and they've already begun the work planning for Measure I projects, which will soon begin to come to life. The Lattickson Elementary School rebuild project is nearing completion. The work has just been completed on the circular building that will house our site specialists. Isn't this a beautiful campus? You can see the new library, the kindergarten wing and playground, and soon coming around you'll see the new drop-off loop, the kids club facility in the field, and then finally we'll cross over the 2 new classrooms. The Measure I-1 Hart Middle School Science Classroom building recently opened for its students. It's exciting to know that our Huskies finally have appropriate science classroom spaces. If you've ever met a science teacher, you know that they have lots of stuff because they do lots of labs. It's been exciting to see them spread out and be able to experience the teaching environment that should have been there all along. The new building includes 6 science classrooms and will include a courtyard and shade structure out front. A second CTE building at Foothill High School, which will house workshops and prep spaces, was made possible from matching funds from Measure I-1 and a grant that was written by the CTE Department Chair Josh Hill and his team of teachers at Foothill. We were able to leverage those 2 sources of revenue together to create a truly innovative learning space. This is an example of what happens when, as a district leader, you make a choice to empower people to do something special and then get out of their way so they can get it done. Our role as a district was to make sure that they had the support they needed to succeed. That building is there because our teachers had a vision, and the district was cognizant of the fact that the best decisions are always made closest to our students. To ensure that school facilities are accessible and inclusive of all students, the We Are Pleasanton group raised over $250,000 in about 6 weeks to help make Foothill High School Stadium wheelchair accessible for the very first time. Thank you to We Are Pleasanton founder Todd Uticall and everyone who made this a reality for our students. This is just one example of what collective action within a community can accomplish when people work together toward common goals. Another example of community-based action is seen in Foothill High School Boy Scout Edwin Lee's Eagle Scout project to renovate their school garden. The project results were transformative with the addition of creating a new garden path, clearing out and refilling the garden beds with fresh soil, and repairing the garden greenhouse. Edwin's work brings to mind a quote from Boy Scouts founder Lord Baden-Powell, who encouraged young people to leave the world a little better than they found it. I would suggest that Edwin and his fellow Scouts accomplished that goal with the garden here at Foothill High School. In a similar effort, the Foothill PTA helped fund new benches around the school to foster a sense of community on campus. You can find examples like this across the district where community members have come together and supported efforts at the schools. And many of those efforts are led by our parent groups. Bill Butler and Todd Uticall led our community to support Measure I-1 on the November 2022 ballot. This effort affectionately became known as Bill and Todd's Most Excellent Adventure. As you can see, they were not alone. Thank you to everyone who joined this effort to improve the learning experience of Pleasanton's children through the various facilities improvements that will be funded by the new bond. We knew that passing the measure would be an uphill task, but I had faith that the community would support the effort as long as we painted a very clear picture of the outcomes, and I'm grateful for the community leaders and volunteers who came out for Saturday farmers markets, phone banking nights, and neighborhood walking to engage these important conversations. Step one, as I said a minute ago, was to paint the picture of what could be possible with community funding. Seen here are the proposed replacement gyms at Amador Valley High School. There were a series of conceptual drawings that helped tell a story and build support for the initiative. We now have the opportunity to put our words into action, that we're sticking with what we said we were doing, and we're seeing it happen quicker than it happened with Measure I-1. But that is just the initial work. There are a lot of design conversations to come with the school communities to determine final designs. These facilities improvements have been needed for a long time, and our coaches, athletes, and school communities are excited to begin to engage in the planning process. The Performing Arts Center that was proposed to replace the Amador Theater is designed to incorporate modern facilities and yet, at the same time, to give a nod to the history of that building. We want to ensure that the Amador Theater remains a valued community asset well into the future. No longer will our students have to go to Dublin or Livermore venues to host their own performances. At Foothill, the gyms will be modernized to provide appropriate athletic and gathering facilities for students and staff. While these proposed renderings are gorgeous, it's important to note that the school communities still need to weigh in on the final designs. That includes the basic design work as well as the placement of the facilities on their campuses. These discussions will undoubtedly drive the timelines related to the construction of these projects, and those timelines have not yet been determined. This is exciting work which will bring modern gathering spaces to our community and support learners of all ages, 7 days a week, 365 days a year through the Civic Center process. These will be community resources and not just school facilities. We anticipate starting the Measure I work in the coming months. The initial bond funds will be sold in April, and those dollars will be used to initiate a few quick start projects. You can anticipate work beginning with the middle school fields. First up will be Pleasanton Middle School, which is a very poorly conditioned field. I'm excited to get that fixed for kids and for our teachers, and I'm sure that the community will also appreciate access to the improved field space. Another quick start project will involve relocation of the STEAM preschool and Horizon daycare programs, which currently sit at the district office site. They will both move over to join the iPals preschool on the backside of Harvest Park. This will place all of our early learning programs together in one location and help provide better supervision and support to those programs. You will see items coming before the board soon that will represent the initial stages for rebuilding Village High School, also located on the Burnell property. The new facility will serve as the Educational Options Center, represented here in this conceptual drawing. The Educational Options Center will house Village High School, the Pleasanton Virtual Academy, our Independent Study Program, and the Home Hospital and Adult Transition programs. You will also see proposals coming forward that will support our youngest learners. Classrooms and play spaces for TK students will be funded by both Measure I-1 and Measure I. In July, we will begin to move to our new district office building on West Las Positas, almost across the street from Hart Middle School. The move and relocation of all of our district office and early learning programs will set the stage for repurposing the Burnell property. Over the past few years, we've discussed the need for workforce housing in Pleasanton. Our employees often find it difficult to find affordable housing in town, which results in their commuting for work from areas outside of the Tri-Valley. Team members should have the opportunity to live and engage fully in the community they serve. Each year, we lose employees because of the difficulty finding affordable housing options or the impact of commuting through the pass. I'm excited to see options on the horizon that could make workforce housing a reality, either on our surplus property or at any location that makes sense. Either way, this is happening and will serve to make Pleasanton a more inclusive community for our educators and support staff who serve our students. I was pleased to learn that the City of Pleasanton has also indicated a commitment to expand access to workforce housing. We look forward to partnering on these efforts to support our staff and community. We asked the City of Pleasanton to include 2 of our properties in their newly adopted housing element plan. Both the Burnell site, where the current district office sits, and the Neal property off of Vineyard were ultimately included in that plan. A committee of community members is currently determining the surplus status of these 2 properties. We recently took action to adjust elementary and middle school boundaries to balance the enrollment across our schools. This action was initiated when the board determined to put a hold on the 10th elementary school due to declining enrollment. We will be strategic and somewhat flexible as the new boundaries are implemented. Some grandfathering will provide opportunities for families who want to remain at existing programs, but also allow families who would like to move to the new schools now to go ahead if that's their interest. We are being intentional in actions to build the Pleasanton community of character. We hope to inspire students to take responsibility for their choices and actions. We want to motivate students to make a difference in the world around them, and we continue to recognize both our students and staff for modeling responsibility, compassion, self-discipline, honesty, respect, and integrity. As an adult network, or what I call a web of support, we should all make an effort to represent and model those characteristics of the community of character for our students both in school and at home, as well as throughout the community. The older I get, the more I begin to ponder the concept of legacy. I wonder about my legacy. What will the world remember about me? What will my grandkids learn about me in the years to come? I don't think I'm alone in this. As we get older, I think we tend to think about these types of things. For me, this connects to the work that's going on right now in our district. I see much of it as legacy work. Many of the projects that we're beginning to work on won't come into fruition for years to come. We build not for our immediate benefit, but because we can see the future by looking into the eyes of our current students. That is our responsibility. It's my responsibility to do right by these and future students and for the people who work with those kids every single day. Our teachers work in the legacy space all the time. As a teacher, you never know the impact of the work that you're doing today and what it will lead to in the years to come. When you hear back 20 years later from a student that you had, one that you thought may not have liked or listened to you, and they tell you how much you meant to them 20 years ago. And you wonder whether or not you're remembering history correctly. But the truth is that the seeds a teacher plants take time to grow and produce. But we plant those seeds nonetheless and have faith. As a community, we are engaged in legacy work in the building that we're doing. There are proverbs in many different cultures that speak to the planting of trees under whose shade we will never sit. That's the work wise people do, the work in which wise communities engage. It makes me think back to that quote from the Boy Scout founder, Lord Baden-Powell. We're doing this work because we want to leave our community in a better place than we found it. Whether we found it 6 years ago, last year, or 40 years ago, we are living examples of the vision for our youth, committed to make the world a better place. I'm grateful for each of you and appreciate your ongoing partnership in the work to the benefit of our students. Thank you very much.